Okay, time for another collection video. This time the Sega Saturn. Now, as you all probably know, the Sega Saturn was a flop, and with the Dreamcast really contributed to the fact that Sega didn't make any more consoles after that. It sold, well, less than 10 million consoles, but it did have a surprisingly large amount of really good games, well, especially in Japan, but also in Europe. Now, well, Virtua Fighter 1 and 2, classic games, really not as good as the arcade versions. These are not arcade perfect, but as the first polygonal fighting games and one of the first polygonal games on the home consoles altogether, these really dropped. Virtua Fighter 1 really dropped jaws to the ground and convinced everybody that Saturn was a force to be reckoned with. Everybody played these back in the day. In Japan, there was also this collection produced, the Virtua Fighter CG Portrait Collection. Now, there was a disc for every one of the 10 fighters, which you could collect and buy, and there also was this 11th disc for the hidden character Duro. And also, if you bought all 10 of the normal games here and then sent the receipts to Sega, you could have a bonus disc, which is pretty rare nowadays, because nobody really bought all of these back in the day, even though they were pretty cheap. Well, nowadays you can get these for $1 a piece from eBay. These are really only for collecting purposes, I guess. They contain some CG pictures, and if I remember correctly, some kind of karaoke function as well. So nothing to play here, I guess, but a cool little collection. The Japanese games came in these normal jewel CD boxes, whereas the European games came in these pretty clunky plastic and cardboard boxes, which always come loose from the glue here in the middle. But you know, something unique is always cool in my book. I don't have any USA boxes here, but they were these hard plastic clear boxes, which are slightly thicker and bigger than the European boxes, so they're pretty cool as well. Another Virtua arcade title, the Virtua Cop. This is a light gun game, and this is the normal European version, but it's in a jewel case because it's from the boxed set with a light gun. Also from a boxed set, Nights into Dreams, a really nice platforming / flying game, one of the classics on the Saturn. This came bundled with an analog controller with an analog stick. Now, because the Nintendo 64 was delayed in Europe, a lot of people here think wrongly that Sega was first with the analog controller, but no, Nintendo was first in Japan. They just Knights just beat Nintendo to it here in Europe. Tomb Raider. Now, this classic probably doesn't need any introduction, but a lot of these, I don't know, I would say Tomb Raider is a classic PlayStation game, but a lot of these games came out on Saturn as well, so there's nothing to be ashamed about for the Saturn in this department. Sega Rally, a conversion of the arcade game, a really good conversion. Some classic rally action here, best played with the Rally controller, which Sega produced. Exhumed is a quite unique first-person shooter. It has an Egyptian theme which is pretty rare in games altogether. I once heard that someone compared this to the Metroid Prime games with the same kind of open new powers and then open new stuff on the map structure, but naturally this isn't as good, but a pretty good first-person shooter, runs really smoothly. Shining the Holy Ark, RPG game again. Now the Shining game series is made by the same people that nowadays form the Camelot game studio, which make the Golden Sun games, and you can really hear that they have the same music composer here in Shining the Holy Ark and Golden Sun. Really good music here, a nice game. One of my all-time favorites on the Saturn are the Panzer Dragoon games 1 and 2, or Zwei if you wanna pronounce it the German way. Like I said in my Xbox video, Panzer Dragoon Orta is one of the finest rail shooters there is, but Panzer Dragoon 1 and 2 really don't stray too far from this, even though they are really old. By today's standards, they are still top-notch. A must for any Saturn collection, both of them. They also made an RPG based on Panzer Dragoon Saga. Came on this in Europe. Came on this thick cardboard box, which had 2 cases, and each case had 2 discs inside. So I do believe this is the only game on the Saturn that came on 4 discs. This is a really unique RPG. The battle in particular is special. You know, you don't have 4 people in a line choosing stuff from the menu. You are riding a dragon and making strategic decisions on how to attack your foes. Really special. This is quite short. If I remember, you could go through this in maybe 5 to 10 hours, but it's pure gold all the way. Getting pretty rare and valuable on eBay these days, so prepare to pay some premium dollar for it. At last, some Japanese games. This is the Saturn version of Castlevania Symphony of the Night. This had all sorts of bonuses, new areas and new characters to play as, but technically this isn't as good as the PlayStation original. What a nice feather to the Saturn's cap as well. And then I have some shooters here. Let's place them here. Dodonpachi is a cult game, notorious for its difficulty. Well, all of these practically are all shooters on the Saturn, but Dodonpachi is it's really up there as people's favorites. And then we have Sokyu Gurentai, monster of a name. This introduces some pretty special features which are pretty hard to explain. Basically, you can project a 3D cone or dome or whatever you want to call it around your ship. This is a 2D game, but you can shoot below or above you with this 3D cone. Pretty hard to explain, but a really nice game. Something unique they tried there. And Battle Gareka, really a killer with its difficulty, but one of the finest shoot 'em ups there is on the Saturn. A real treat for the shoot 'em up enthusiasts. And last but certainly not least, we have Radiant Silvergun. This isn't actually as rare as people think it is. It did sell pretty well in Japan, but everybody just wants it, so that's why it demands, I don't know, $200 on eBay nowadays, or maybe more. And it is fantastic. This is from Treasure, the company that made Ikaruga later, and this introduces some of the elements from Ikaruga, like the scoring system, that you can't just shoot everybody on screen. You have to plan who you shoot. But graphically, this is one of the finest games on the Saturn, and a really long shoot 'em up. If I remember, it takes like an hour to complete, whereas Ikaruga is like 25 minutes. But one of the gems of my collection, and I'll probably never will sell it. But thanks for watching, and I hope you get the incentives to start collecting Saturn. There are some really nice games on it. But thanks for watching. Bye.